You are now listening to the sounds of Milkcrates Microphones.
I mean, there's been inner whispers of, was Myka 9 as dope as Microphone Mike? You know, the old school cats, they laugh about that. Microphone Mike was mighty. He was the kamikaze tomahawk, like Clint Eastwood, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, fucking Clint Eastwood, man, ready for the lyrical shootout, man. He was with all that. Because that was before I knew about song structure, and I wasn't applying my singing qualities nothing to whatever little primal demos I did to a certain degree, but I was with that B-boy battling back then, man. That shit was heavy, man. It was like about that. It was about trying to get on stage and record, you know, but on stage, like, you're shy, you're young, you're still kind of scared. You want to do it, but you're scared. It was wild, man. And, you know, this Microphone Mike was the dude that was the rhinosaur comparative to a dinosaur. That was, man, just salute that cat. Salute young me at that time, man. God is greatest, but salute that dude. That dude, wow, he was amazing.
Was Myka 9 always a name you had in your back pocket that you're like, when I get to a certain, you know, style of my own, or when I get to a certain type of status, I'm going to turn into Myka 9 on these motherfuckers, and they're not going to know what hit them?
Well, not quite that way, but when I was young, even as Microphone Mike, I always had like an affinity with the number 9, but not just the multiplicative qualities, more like how it resembled the Nautilus shell. Ever since I was a kid, I used to like draw circles, like I was always intrigued by vortices and holes and spirals and things. That was always just something visually that I was into. And then not quite that I moved in, you know, from the foster homes with my mom at 9, but that was another term. And just in general, though, but it kind of morphed because I had different names like a lot of MCs did. I was MMC, I was Microphone Mike, and then you might have heard me say Microphone Capone once or twice. You might have heard Michael Troy 9, mixed the government with it. And then Myka Hakim, that's Myka when I used to spell it M-I-K-A-H, and Hakim backwards is Myka. And then, you know, different songs. But by the time the 90s hit, I switched it to, or late 80s, I switched it to Myka 9. And there are different spellings of Myka 9 for whatever reason. But the main spelling is M-Y-K-A-9. But nah, when I was MMC, I was like, MMC is kind of generic. Microphone Mike, which was kind of generic too. At the time, though, it was fly. And it took on. I remember in high school, people were like, what's up, Microphone Mike? What's up, Microphone Mike? What's up, Microphone Mike? What's up, Microphone Mike? Because I played basketball too, right? And the different high schools I went to, they got in the 4A division. So we're going around all the different high schools. I'm battling every MC at every high school. And then when I'm hanging with the MC Aces, AC Alone, and Teaspoon, you know, we're always going around to wherever the hip-hop gatherings or writers or wherever b-boying in general was. And plus I was going to New York back and forth since I was 15. So I was with that b-boy culture and dealing with, you know, in LA, they're like, oh, you're trying to be New York. Like, no, it's a culture, you know, we can wear this too. We can rock it like this too. But yeah, Microphone Mike, you know, he was definitely an animal among high regard.
Hey, we're joined right here by a legend in the game, Freestyle Fellowship, Project Blowed, Haiku d'etat, Myka 9 in the house.
Hell yeah, in the building.
Thank you for joining us. Side projects and
hell yeah.
Cargini's and you know, Jimenez Jackson, things of that nature. But no, I'm mainly known for Freestyle Fellowship and Haiku d'etat, no doubt. Shout out Abstract Rude. I heard you guys when I was getting ready talking about Ab.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if too many people know, but he's like all around. Speaking on Ab, and he's younger than us. But I mean, from MC, like dope MC, melodic, song structure, arrangement, composition, events, business side, analytics. He's a numbers man, and he has been one of my staunchest supporters, even though he has his own artist, you know, ensemble that he's promoting and campaigning. I mean, like on my birthday, whenever I want to throw like a big birthday show, like I always go to Ab, or when we're doing our Project Blow reunion, if it's not J Smooth or AC, it's Ab, and Ab has been like a pillar in our community. And I don't know if that's been mentioned enough, you know, in the greater hip hop, underground hip hop.
He's definitely a smooth operator.
Ab is the shit.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot on this podcast, especially being from California and being lucky enough to hear a lot of the Southern California music. Honestly, I think hearing Abstract Rude was like what brought me into hearing a lot of the other Southern California, you know, that you listen to Ab Rude and then you kind of fall down that thing.
Life. because he's very thorough,
For sure.
by the way. But there was a time in my life when my mama died, you know, almost 20 years ago, where he was making sure that I wasn't going to wallow in depression, because I normally suffer from depression, like clinical, whatever. But I remember he was on my head, and that is how the album Gramophone came about, even though it took another good 10 plus years for it to actually materialize. He was a catalyst in that conceptually and everything. And before Haiku d'Etat, even post Haiku d'Etat, we have a project and a pseudo group called AM Radio.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys have heard the AM Radio, but
yeah,
we have some jams on that.
Yes, sir. We have.
Love that duo.
And just shout out Keep the Feel, and shout out Move Pieces and All Things Ab, and Mass Men, which includes AWOL and a variety of DJ Fat Jack, Zulu, Irie. Mass Men was huge. Exhibit was part of Mass Men. Wow. That was their crew, because we had different group crews. Also, a few other cats, man, Tony touching them, but Mass Men was amazing. And through the years, we've all played a part in educating and learning from each other, man. It's amazing. Ab, one of my favorite projects, he's got a couple. I like Move Pieces. I like, but Think Tank is to me like a seminal project that was like borderline quintessential for him. And he expressed a wide range in his vocalese on that album. And I truly appreciate it. So if you guys aren't here, check out Think Tank by Abstract Rude.
Definitely. Well, something
Paint
that's
was hard
also,
too.
Oh, Paint was that album. That whole album.
good.
You know, songs like Yep, sounds like Enough Fire, and not to mention even the joint that he did with Rhyme Sayers, and I'm on that Media and some other joints.
Rejuvenation.
He did major tunes, man, major tunes.
Yeah.
And whenever we tour, he's always cool to tour with, because he's so pro, right? Like, you know, routing, he might even plan tours for us and pull rabbits out the hat. And one more salute to Ab and Roses. There's times when it's like he would teach me shit, even though he's younger. He'd be like, "You want to meet the sound man before you meet the bartender." You know, just way pro with our shit. And we've had major shows, tours in Europe, all around and shit. And you know, he's consummate professional. That's one thing I give Ab. You know, and he always flows. I don't think I've ever seen his voice give out on tour or anything. And touring can be stressful, but for the most part, you know, we've all maintained a cool, even some of the most grueling circumstances. So, and now that I'm 53, and I know Ab is pushing 50, but he's still like in his young mid 40s. It's amazing that he was like 14, 15 years old, hanging out with us in Good Life and just absorbing and being the historian that he is of our vibe.
So that was something that I was going to bring up, is the one of the consistents that we see through that community, through the underground hip hop community and in Southern California, LA area, is you guys are all really good influences, and you're not afraid to bring MCs under your wing and show them the way, and show them, like, you know, how you guys did things. And
indeed, because when we were young, we didn't have too many elder MCs.
That's what I was going to ask.
One, and the ones that were older and on, they were either on and I dare say threatened, but just the scratch my back or scratch yours, the each one teach one wasn't really in full effect. It was more adversarial to a sense. When I was young, I was trying to battle who was on, battle IC, battle LL, battle Run MC. But there were older cats too that were on, like Easy and them. They let me write for that first NWA album for some groups, and Dre was open, and you know, and when you're young, you don't necessarily listen. Older people did through the years, John Bukowski and other producers I knew that taught me song structure, taught me how to record actually, and multi-track layering, things of that nature. But when it came to like an older person bringing you in, or somebody established, things were more clicky. So I made it a point to set a standard early on to help upcoming rappers, you know. And I kind of likened it with the logic I had, where it was like dance hall DJs and them that do a big hit. They call it a dub plate, where you can hire, you know, Shaba, hire Papa Sana, hire someone. And what they would do for your sound set, if you call yourself a DJ or having a sound system, you pay them $500, pay them $5,000, whatever they charge. And they do their famous song, but they redo it, and they mention you in the sound of mention you in the vocals or your sound system. Call it a dub plate. I don't know, a lot of hip hop people don't know a dub plate. And they make a record, press it, whatever. So that was one aspect of what we call features, but not quite a feature. It's a dub plate. So I just want to take a step further, and even when I was younger, like get on the feature game, because I wasn't on with that merch game. Like if you cite a crew, let's say like I love my guys in the Bay, Souls. You couldn't tell me there wasn't a period where that T-shirt with the 3 eyes wasn't everywhere. So you got walking billboards.
Yeah.
So even though my merch didn't fly, I thought, well, an aspect of maybe my audio walking billboard would be doing a massive amount of features. And I got critiqued for that because they're like, oh, you're bringing the brand down, or, you know, you're making yourself too available. But, you know, I'm a family man. I got bills to pay. And I'm getting coin, and I like to create. I don't want to just do 10 to 20 songs and mix master that as a project and not do anything and fiddle my thumbs. You know, I like working with people and up-and-coming artists because a lot of people didn't fuck with up-and-coming artists in the 80s. And in the 90s, it started to bubble a little bit more. However, from 2000 on, I thought it was very important to keep that alive. And obviously, I knew that maybe I might add a little production value to a track, but it depends on if they put it out, what machine they use, or if they're just keeping it like a Picasso, you dig? But nonetheless, I think, anyway, I'm just saying, you know, so far as features and helping up-and-coming artists, that was very important, even with our workshops. Because I knew as a young person, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't feel like playing basketball. I just feel like rapping and freestyling. I don't even need a beat. I could beat on the wall. Somebody could beatbox. So help nourish and further that pastime outside of the Black community to other people around the world, even where without even having to bust a written rhyme or whatever, freestyling that therapeutic language became, in my opinion, a pastime without a basketball court or even a ball.
It's extremely smart. Extremely smart of you to work with everybody and not be real biased, because you never know one day when that guy might blow up and be like, you know what, Myka 9's always had my back since day one. And then again, you're set up again.
Chance, if I may, because there are bigger artists, and I know how bigger artists are, you know, careers eclipse themselves, where they're like, people can pay me to be on it, I'll do a video or whatever, but I know the bigger artists, like Snoop will say it, he'll be like, but I'd rather somebody like Raekwon would say, you know, let niggas shine on their own shit and, you know, boss themselves up, then, you know, I'll give them a stamp or do a cameo or collab, because it's important that people know that within themselves, not to stretch into Gnostic or any kind of, you know, but it's important that people know within themselves not to, without first exhausting the wherewithal within oneself and then within one's skill. Because I know a lot of artists that are big names and had their big waves that were like, nobody knew who they were. Nobody. And I watched their dream and then work on their dream and do smart moves, this and that, to rise all the way up to an A-list status or a renowned MC legacy status. And I got a lot of stories of a variety of different people and connections. I decided to keep it more underground because I like creative freedom. I tried independent, I tried major, went back to independent. I've been independent. I haven't had a manager. I mean, shout out Kedar Massenberg. I love him. You know what I mean? Like, he taught me a lot back in 93, 94, but I haven't had a manager since like 94 or anything. I haven't had a major record deal since early 90s. However, I've been able to, you know, with the advent of technology, record, you know, sonics can vary depending on who I'm working with. But that creative freedom, I wouldn't trade that for the world. And I'm able to still make a living and do what I love.
When you were recording that first album with Freestyle Fellowship, To Whom It May Concern, what was that energy like in that studio, man? And when did you guys?
That's amazing you would say that, because how it worked. I heard about the project come together, and Sumbi in his apartment, that's where it was happening. He had a 4-track, and I heard some of the songs people were doing already, so I already knew the level. And I had ideas, and I came with an arm full of records. And Jay Sumbi, he's a DJ too and a producer, and he was so dope. He laced up everything the way I liked it and added some his flavor. And then he finished it. He'd be like, okay, let me finish it. And he finished it. And I was like, oh, I love how you blended it. I had my lyrics, and You're Young, You're Hungry. I didn't know that I was compiling full songs, because I have to admit, some of the songs were different pages. I was just trying to flex and keep a semblance of what a song subject was about. And then I listened through the years, decades later, I'm like, wow, it had cohesion. The energy was such that he wanted each person to go, if I can recall, by themselves, so he could just have focus, because a lot of times back then, there'd be people there, smoke weed, this, that. But then once I showed up with my 2 songs, because everybody was doing 2 songs for the most part, AC did, you know, Happy Birthday to Me in Fantasy. Juke did, I think, one of his first recordings, which was, you know, the song he did, and Peace did 2 songs. And I did my 2, which was 5 O'Clock Follies and 7 Seal. And I realized now through the years, I stretched out on both of those tunes, you dig? And so what was interesting, when you talk about the energy, I'll mention that first. Once we had most of our songs, we did skits like Off the Ledge. And that's when everyone was in the room, even people that weren't like having songs on the project, Akili or even my ex-girlfriend at the time, Lorez, she said psych or something. But we were able to do group things at that point because the group was starting to consolidate even before it became a full group. Again, it was compilation. Freestyle Fellowship, it went on a tangent. So I remember one time everyone was there and we were like, off the ledge. And then we wrote Tolerate. And I said, why don't we do it on a different time signature? Like flip Run DMC shit, but just make it like on 3 or 6, 8 beat, something different. So the first version of Tolerate, which is me and the Fellowship members rapping in unison at the same time with a political statement and chopping at the same time, which was dope. So that was kind of energy, the camaraderie of us young going for it as independents, because some of us would send a demo or 2 to a major or not, but they weren't hearing it. And I don't know if it was Sonics or just the way we rapped our style, but we were like, fuck that shit. And then I had already had a single deal with Arista and stuff, and I had already dealt with producers that wanted to kind of soft wash my approach, you know, which was kind of cool because I opened up to my singing and other things, but I wasn't really getting my lyrical nut off until I started fucking with Good Life and we did the Freestyle Fellowship shit. Because that, I recorded with MC Aces and my bro Pun, you know, rapping in headphones or beating on walls, or I did a couple records too. I did something for Jesse Jackson when he ran for president back in the 80s, but stuff that was always in conglomeration with other MCs and you know, a lot of constraints. That was the first time I ever put out something that I know was what I wanted to sample, what I wanted to rap on and do. And even to this day, when I listen to it, when I get to the end of 5 O'Clock Follies, I'm like, whoa, you were whistling and matching your whistle flow and, you know, harmonic and chopping and destroying it like in 89, because I recorded almost 89, 90, and then came out once they compiled it in late 1991. And who cares? You know, people always want to date and put the little extra 2 on the 10. Nah, it is factually. I remember when I did that, I did a remix for the Wailers called A Friend. I did the Carmen Carter song with Arista. So, you know, there's a little baby wave. But the energy at that apartment with Sumi was incredible. And the beauty was this. We're working on it, right? He's working on a 4-track. Now, I herald 4-track and 8-track cassette tapes and that technology because a lot of great punk, well, God is gracious, a lot of good punk rock records were recorded on 4-track. So when we were in the process of bouncing tracks on the 4-track, he put the 1/4 inch halfway in accidentally in the 4-track, and it created a MIDI feedback buzz. Not even MIDI, but like a feedback. And all it played was the motherfucking bass, but it was subbing. So we're not in no big ass studio, no SSL, no Neve boards, no flying faders, no automation. But all of a sudden we're hearing this motherfucking feedback. And he's like, I push it all the way in, you know, because I'm helping him with the buttons. I'm like, nah, hold on. Sumi decided to use that feedback and figured out a way to make that a track. So out of all the underground hip hop tapes that were happening at that moment, we were the only ones that had the super sub bass and he panned it a little bit. Man, I'm trying to tell you, that made the difference in our tape. He went back and remixed everything and pulled out that 1/4 inch on the last track of that 4-track so you could just get that bass, filtered it, get that bass feedback for the low end. Woo! Woo! That's why when you hear Sumi shit, it definitely bumped. Legal Alien, all that shit with his mock New York accent. Man.
Damn, just the little secret touches like that right there.
We was East Coast, West Coast, and we was like what they thought gangster rap and dance rap or player rap. We're like, no, we have, you know, avant-garde rap artists out here too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Artists and poets out here. So you've been in the game for almost, 4 decades now.
Oh, yeah.
Putting out records. I put out records. My first records were in the 80s.
Yeah.
And collaborations. I even did a record with the MC Aces, which was me, AC Alone, and Teaspoon, called Throwing Down, and some other stuff with Target Records. And I can't remember, but yeah, man, so far as in the game, I would say, yeah, I had first little deals and shit and making it happen 80s on through, but fucking with rap, yeah, thank you.
And there's not a lot of rappers or MCs that can say that they are still putting out music 4 decades into the whole game. What are some of the keys to your longevity? How have you stayed in the game? And obviously you've traveled. You're one of the more busy MCs too. You're putting out music constantly, doing features like you talk about, traveling. How what's your secret to this longevity and how you still doing it? Because you're still putting out great music.
Hold on, man. I gotta fuck you up. I'm ready for the tough questions. That's not a controversial question. But I preface it with that. That's a tough question.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have like a rehearsed answer. Because I've been asked questions before. Not so often do I get that. So I'm gonna mix with what I was thinking I was gonna say with now where I'm at.
Okay.
The first thing I want to say was doing it different every time, trying to do it different. But I had the wherewithal when I was young. I want to do this for the rest of my life, so I don't want to burn out on it. It wasn't monotonous when I was young, but I would curb my recording and styles. And that would help me reapproach ciphers and the homies and demos with different styles. That needed to nurture in my career, like in my wherewithal, to where now I realize, okay, I knew what I was doing before I knew I was doing it. The longevity came from, number one, being a kid, doing it naturally as an artist and realizing you got that. Parents were jazz musicians. I fell in love with hip hop late 70s, 80s. When people were reciting Dolomite rhymes, I was reciting my own rhymes. Or, I got hip to King Tim III because I liked pop lock when I was young, and there was a song called Fatback by Fatback called Looking for That Good Stuff. Tighten up on your backstroke, but on the flip, it's a disco funk track with King Tim III rapping on it. And then I remember when Tina Marie, did Square Biz. I remember when Deborah Harry did Rhapsody. I remember hearing Sugar Hill and all of that. I wanted to know those lyrics, but I knew then by perfunctory of me knowing the lyrics, karaoke, before I'm doing it. And I was singing in church and choir, things like that. So I kind of was develop my voice. And then started rapping, like, I guess in the 6th grade, 12 years old, mandatory busing back of the bus just to entertain people on bus. Every day I had a different rap after a while, right? And I started freestyling, when I ran out of lyrics. Didn't know it was freestyling it. Just had a knack for it, right? And so on through the years, knowing, okay, this is a calling. I want to do this. Even though I did all kind of jobs and all kind of work, I always kept in mind, okay, if I'm going to do it, or since I'm doing it, I didn't want to do it so much where I burn out on it, because I was already starting to see burnout with people that didn't make it, or they were shy, or just weren't dope, or didn't approach it as an art. And then on through the years, not to mention just taking a step away from it. I played sports, all kind of things. But whenever I approached it, I noticed I would approach my writing and my craft. I'm talking about 12, 14, 15, slightly different. There's growth. I started chop rhyming like 16, 17. And around that time, people thought it was whack. But I noticed those were MCs saying it, whereas the crowd would love it. It gained like what we call now a blow up, that tension release, like you're rapping slow, then bang. The crowd was like, so I'm serving people all kind of different ways, depending on how I feel. So I'm learning the dynamics and what range I had, limited range at that time. So as I'm writing and recording on through the years, doing songs, what made me want to keep doing it was what life I lived to bring something back to the room. I was already seasoned with studio work and multi-tracking by, late 80s, 90s. And the Berry Gordy style of ABA song arrangement composition. I kind of knew that. So I was really trying to skew it, and as well as help promote hip hop in general, because I'm on the West Coast. So people are like, oh, you're trying to be New York. No, it's culture. I do a lot of that and the style. So what made me really keep doing it without it burning out on me, because I do remember, I think one time, not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was like, man, I'm tired of this shit. I was just hard timing. I didn't know that when you hard time, you block abundance. So I don't hard time even when things are hard. And I remember a lot of MCs going, well, man, you did your thing. I was like, fuck that shit. You're not going to relegate me to the old guard. And that gave me more spice. But on through the years, but as of late, the last 10, 13, 15 years, shit, to make a motherfucking living, because it's interesting. Now it's coming to me. Sorry, I'm thinking a little slow. I remember I'm working, I'm hustling, I'm doing all kind of shit. I said, what do you really love? So I said, I'm stop hustling, stop working. I'm going to put my all into this independent rap get down, and you know what they call it, a self-contractor, whatever the fuck how the business model was. I say I'm gonna do it like a flip, you know, flip your merch, flip your songs, features, shows, go for it. And I said I'm gonna seek a swim by this. In other words, I'm going to force myself to make a living by this and pay the dues that were necessary on my own. And unbeknownst to some of my other crew members were doing that too, and created a beltway of touring and shows through down south, East Coast, Midwest, and especially our West Coast region. And I think back then it might have been 2Mex, AC, bus drivers, certain people where they were like, nigga, just get some merch and we'll sell your merch, you know? But after a while, I was like, well, fuck that. I want to perform too. Because I would do my own little shows and tours on my own. I'm like, no, fuck that. And then calling promoters and doing the logistics. They're like, yeah, we just had Ace. We'd love to have you, you know? We just had, you know, until Project Blow Good Life, they understand, okay, well, these cats may not have hella big, you know, platinum names, but they tear the house down. And so with that, that's what I was getting into as well, which let my fellow artists, because it took the fellow artists to keep you in the game too. They didn't want you to go, because we made a promise never to fall the fuck off, which meant ultimately never to be whack or water down your shit or stop rapping. I remember Too Short, one of his songs, just don't stop rapping, don't stop rapping. So that's working in my head. Then when I'm realizing, okay, after the major record deals, I was like, well, okay, you didn't compromise your creative standards, however many quirky songs I might say I did. But when you face the music, you go back and listen, and they're bright moments. And it's those bright moments when you don't listen to your joints, that objective clarity that gives a little, you know, boost in your thing. When people are coming to you like, yo, I like your shit, different countries. Name my kid after you. I was in a dark place, wanted to kill myself. I heard one of your songs, man, and it brought me out of a dark place. Then you realize, okay, you're doing philanthropy, you're doing some other shit, so there's an obligation, a duty, you know. But creatively, doing different styles and different approaches, writing a rhyme from the bottom of the page up, nobody knows that. Reciting it from the bottom right, reading backwards, you know, I've done songs like that, or just using buzzwords and freestyling, then going back and writing it if they request a lyric print, or freestyling in general, or scatting, then going back and transcribing it. Just different aspects of the approach, and keeping in mind having a wider spectrum, a range, was something that has always kept me going, as well as gas, lights, phone, rent, cable, car note, insurance, family, hey, get your coin.
Do you still freestyle like regularly to stay sharp, or do you feel like I don't really feel like getting in the, you know, kind of messing around like that anymore? Because I heard you mention
that. What you do is you don't rest on your laurels. In my case, prime creator is greatest source, but you do it not to stay sharp, especially when you're by yourself. You do it to know if you're sharp. And you flow for a second naturally, because every time I'm driving or anywhere I'm at, anything is a metaphorical, a simile, analogy, you know, a potential punchline or battle rhyme or hotline or punchline, whatever. You know, in words, vernacular, I've been studying words and stuff since I was like teenager and in 20s and 30s, word banks. I read different dictionaries and a lot of books I read, stuff. So where these words start coming, I notice like I understand either the connotation or the actual definition of a word just naturally because of those early studies. And,
my bad.
Is that me or you?
No, that's me. That's me. My bad.
So, what was the question again? Sorry, I lost track.
Just do you find yourself hard to stay, you know, in pace with this freestyling lately? And do you still keep up with it?
No. I freestyle naturally. Like I might be in the shower. I might just be not out of nowhere. In my head, it might be going down, or I might just start rhyming, you know, just to warm up. But what's interesting as of late, like I busted a fucking dope ass freestyle yesterday morning, right? And sometimes I do like 4 or 5 bars, 8 bars. I like just kept rhyming, and I had to stop myself. I was like, "You're getting in one of those spasms." Because when I was younger, I used to get in spasms. I was just rhyming by myself and sweating and challenging myself. Because sometimes I'm able to listen objectively. Because I miss the ciphers and workshops I used to have with fellow MCs and peers and things of that nature. So these days, your bus just makes you sharp, and I have a personal way where I limit myself. No bridge words, no words you already know that work, no syllables, no pausing to wait and let yourself think. Letting it continue to be that spontaneous channel, but not so much with the wild style of saying whatever you want, with a subject matter in mind or a connector. And then I'll stop, because I'll be like, no, you're going to end up rapping all day and not getting your shit done. just standing there rhyming like in a trance. But it's cool to just know, okay, still sharp, you know, still sharp. Not even like handicapping yourself, like just, oh, okay, you still have it, like in a real tight way where it's like, wow. And that's different than when you're personal, when you're by yourself. I'm so glad you asked me a question because no one has ever really asked me a question and I haven't answered it this way, where it's like your personal best is always different than whatever impact you may or may not have. And you cheat yourself if you rest on your laurels. If you know you didn't do the personal best, but you got it off, people are cool. Because sometimes I've done bomb shows, like really good shows, where I missed lyrics or flubbed a lyric or two and felt like, but in the overall, you got to appreciate yourself without resting on your laurels. So yeah, man. I do it to see if I'm sharp. I'm still sharp.
Nice.
I'm talking about not just can you make words rhyme or use the language of rhyme, but no, real like punchlines, connectors, potent shit. And that's just the other day. I was like, oh, you still shower rhyme. Oh, you still get it in. Okay. Then the worst is, damn, I wish I would have wrote that down and recorded it.
Oh, yeah. That being said, how did the whole G4 thing come about with you going on there and totally just tearing down the house, man? Like you're saying, your rhymes, you start off real slow, segmented, and just build up and build up and build
G4?
in and out. Oh, yeah.
Freestyle 101.
Your Freestyle 101 on G4.
Oh, G4. I remember they said you had to be there at 7:30 in the morning or something.
Jesus.
And I'm wearing a denim gi that I got from when I went to Japan, and I knew a lot of fighters, Daisuke, Pride Fighters. Like I know Herb Dean and them. Like the fighters, I know like the Gracies, and they used to listen to my shit and help them with their combinations and shit. Like, you know, they were fans of me, and I thought it was weird. People in Brazil fuck with Myka 9. Wow. But Royce Gracie, not Royce. Royce they pronounce with H. So I'm wearing this gi, and I'm writing there, and I already heard about it. It's like freestyle. So I'm like, okay, freestyle, but I know you want to kind of have something on your mind. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I have nothing. I don't do that written, memorized shit and try to play it like a freestyle or act like I'm guessing it when it's really pre-written and pre-route. I just remember I think I caught like a cab to where they were at, and I'm listening to the radio, and they're talking about whatever they're talking about. And I'm nervous. I'm like tired. I'm like, what the fuck I'm gonna do? So I just went in there and just started flowing. But what I remember from the moment I woke up to whatever I heard on the radio to once I'm there, and I didn't know what kind of beat they were giving me. I mean, thank you guys, G4, for the opportunity. I didn't like the beat, but I was just kind of flowing. And I remember I was talking about, they were saying something about a Miss America that fell or something when she was getting her award or some dumb shit. I don't know why that popped in my head. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying something about early when my girl calls, because I was thinking about the last cipher I had a couple nights before, and we blowing up, and motherfucker left the cipher because this girl was calling him on the phone. Damn. And I never explained this, and then I kind of went off and went to some other little ethereal or whatever I was doing, rapid fire choppy. But I had a bob, I think. Like I didn't get a haircut. Like that was just weird looking. That was like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, a long time ago, huh?
Yeah, it holds weight still. Definitely holds weight.
It holds weight.
The fucking head
does. The beat's fucking crazy for sure.
Oh, no, I remember before. Let me show you how it's done. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Where am I going to go with this one?
It was definitely free and open. I had no, like, preconceived nothing.
It sounded like, real free, for sure. It didn't sound pre-rehearsed or nothing. It sounded real free.
But plus, there were no other MCs in the area. I was in a cypher, like, so I was like, I could do what I want to do. And they were treating me nice.
How many songs would you say you've written within your 4-decade career, man?
And freestyled and written and features. Me and Abs started counting a few years ago. It was like 700. But when I really thought about it, there's a lot of features and shit I've done. Just may or may not come out. I don't know what counts. I just know it's 900 plus. I don't think it's quite 1,000, but it's 900 plus.
A wide catalog.
About way recordings where features and stuff we think is coming out didn't, written rhymes, etc. And you'd be surprised. A lot of MCs have a lot of shit out there too. I'm not the only one. Like I remember, I'm gonna shout out Mega Abuse. He did a song a day for a year, so that's 365 songs then. But also I'm talking about what's released and what's out there alone. It's well into the hundreds. And what's interesting for me, what I get a personal joy from now, having so many songs, is having the objective clarity to listen to your shit, because most of the time I try to use different styles or a variety of different styles and approaches, not just one monotone voice or tone or pitch or one style. So I'm listening back. I'm like, I can listen back like it's not me, and I'm listening critically. Like I listen to songs that may or may not be on my personal favorite or playlist that I did. Because, you know, I'm not like a hella narcissist like that. I don't get off on listening to myself. But when I'm like, oh, I did that. When did I do that? Like I might be in Hawaii and somebody be like, yo, I like this feature. And I'll play it. And I'm like, I don't remember doing it. But I start digging in.
Crazy.
I'm like, oh, okay. And somewhere in the middle, I'm like, oh, it's the little razzle dazzle. Ah, like, damn, you know, keeping that integrity, you know, and that is what I enjoy now. I've having such a I don't know how to call it, a wide body, a catalog, whatever, to be able to listen to different songs. And especially when I go on YouTube, because, you know, you don't know what's posted or whatever, you know, I don't really have a channel, nothing, but like the different spellings of the name, of my name too. And I'll be like, oh, wow, I haven't heard this in 20 years. Wow, I did that. Wow. Mm-hmm. The beat might have been quirky or it might have been dope, but it brings me such pleasure and joy. Even when it's a tune that I'm thinking, okay, I didn't like it, you know, face the music, but I'm like, wait a minute. And it's just really tripping. And plus, when you listen back to those songs, they're like audio snapshots in your life, and it changes my cellular structure. It takes me back in time. I actually time travel, and I can smell the smells and see the colors and where I was at when I listen to certain songs and moods and sessions. And I send love right now to everyone I've ever worked with.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about music.
Hell yeah,
music in general, a time machine, take you back to where you first heard the song, or.
But bro, I'm telling you, a lot of artists, they'll keep playing this shit over and over, which is good, you know, for rehearsal and whatnot. But you know, some artists, they jock themselves, and they be like, oh, listen to my shit, you know, whenever people in the studio. But I'm talking about just all due years, I'll be humble. Sometimes I overplay. I've got a shout out LA Cool. He'll be like, oh, it's a Myka listening session. No, I just want you to play one song. It's like, but he'll be like, why we got to play it again? Yeah. But to listen to yourself and have some sort of objective ability to listen like it's not you. I don't know what you're talking about, but that's dope. And a side note, I always herald, whether pop star or underground, those artists that either make their own beats or put together the beats they like and rap on it. It's like rapping in a mirror. The cohesion. I really like cohesion. I don't like over cohesion because it doesn't come outstanding. And that's what I've been working on the last 5 or 10 years. Make sure you're not so in the music and so connected where you're not outstanding with the pop out moments. You know, you have to have dynamics. Yeah. But in general, thank you for asking that question. There's nothing in the world like knowing you did a lot of songs and features and verses here and there, wherever. And like, I can sit down some days and I can wake up in the morning and go, okay, I'm gonna listen to my shit, review material, because that would pump me up to do a feature, like kind of remember where I was at or what I was doing, whether it's on YouTube or my iTunes or whatever. But then it's like, damn, I forgot I did that. Oh, that's just dope, especially when they're dope. Because after a while, I stopped, you know, like compiling what I would favor. Anyway, but thank you for asking that question.
Yeah. Do you ever recall a time where you would make something and you're like, I don't think this is very good at all? You personally make it, you're like, I don't know if this is going to be, you know, what I think it's going to be, and it ends up just being amazing. Do you have like a personal song in the back of your head that you just know?
There's 2 ways. One, I've done it, and I've been in sessions like that. I don't necessarily have to say the names of the projects, arguing with artists, this and that, but then later, they're hearing something you did that they know is groundbreaking and more forward-moving than you're feeling. I mean, I can go, you know, different group projects, things, but let me make sure that I got it right. Oh, yeah. So, and there's another side. Well, first of all, like, not getting it because I'm learning. And then you go back later and realize, oh, wow, you're rapping on a different time signature, or you're stretching out more. And, you know, there's an aesthetic that can be applied, not music, but you might be in a different scenario and be like, wow, this song fits this scenario. Here's an example, and then and quite different but similar is when you do a tune and you did your thing on it, but it may not be one of your favorites, not perfunctory, but you're serving the tune and the vibe. But then you go back later and be like, wait, this shit's dope. Like I have a song, for example, I did with Factor about To the Sky. And I love it. It's a cool song, but not necessarily one of my favorites. I remember we used to perform it, whatever. but I memorized it, but then I kind of forgot it. But then I started listening to it lately, and I noticed a lot of people been requesting it in Europe, and I'll listen to it, and I forgot in the middle. I'm doing some like a disco throwback. Like I was like, oh, this is dope. But here's an example. Doing a song, never no slackness, because a lot of times the challenge will be no-name artist, beats somewhat. What can you bring to the table to uplift it, rather than just your name being the stamp and the production value? That was a personal challenge. Thank you for asking that. Then on the flip, I've done certain songs, and I don't know where I get this meter from, where the first song, for example, I did with Factor, I go, song called Smokey. I go, I wonder if this feature turns into a lifelong friendship, tours, videos, and many projects to boot. And it did.
Wow.
Me and him have done over 50 plus songs and have toured, you know, East Coast, West Coast, Japan, you know what I'm saying? Like
Canada.
Yeah, exactly. They let me in Canada finally. Speaking of Canada, I got to shout out everybody in Canada, from Dylan, Mickey, Ultra Magnus, Factor. I saw Chesky not too long ago up there, Gripsky, Timur, mad fucking crew up there, man. I love Canada, crazy Canada, man. Yeah. T-Dot all the way around. My guy, Mocha, had a good tour with Mocha. Mocha only is so dope. But yeah, man, to like know, because even then, when you don't feel like rhyming or you're tired, but you want to get something done for somebody, I always take a step back and be like, nah, if you're not putting love into it, don't do it. So sometimes I might have a turnaround in a couple hours on a feature. Sometimes it might take a couple weeks, maybe even a month if I'm touring in between. But I make sure I'm putting love into it and getting the love back before I do it, because I can't do it without putting love into it. It's like I listen to it later and be like, nah, no slackness. And I end up redoing it anyway. So, you know, because most of the cases these days, if I'm not going to a studio for someone to push the buttons, I'm in my home studio spot where I'm at now. Not my home studio spot. I live in Lamert, but I spend a lot of time here to wrap out the box, so to speak. But I make sure that it's thorough, whether it's one or two tracks, or sometimes, I don't know if you guys are familiar with my material, I'll do like, you know, harmonies and oohs and ahs and multi-track, and the sonics are important regardless of what kind of quality mic or preamp I'm using. But yeah, I push buttons on my own and whatnot, and copy paste, this, that. So it's important, even if it's a lackluster track, for me to decide, okay, can you guys send another track? Or I'll bust on it and then they'll do a remix anyway. And just a tangent, if you're gonna remix my shit, at least make sure you got music in your head and don't change the pitch. I can't stand a remix where I wrote to a track in a certain harmonic pitch or key and they come with a badass beat, but my vocals are not in key. And I don't know, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But nonetheless, in answer to your question, sometimes I'll hear a track or hear an approach, I'm like, is it whack or is it a challenge? And most of the time it's like, no, it's a challenge. It's not in your comfort zone. Get out your comfort zone. And that's when I might even match the cadence, even if it's an MC with an amateurish approach, because the amateurish approach is still quality in the degree of difficulty and angular, you know, like people might not, I mean, people hear it, let's say, for A-lister, rest in peace, Tupac. But he had many styles. I used to rap with him, like, you know, whatever, catch him in the conventions. But if you go ahead without singing it like you love his songs and you're in the club with girls, but like really analyze it, his phrasing and spacing was very unpredictable and unique in between the micro breaths of rhymes. Try memorizing Keep Your Head Up. There's, you know, it's a challenge. I think he did like 3-4 verses on that. You know, like, it's just a thing about the amateurish approach, which also, in answer to your other question, kept me going and entices me lyrically. And that's when I started even matching patterns of amateurish MCs, because who's to say who's amateurish? They just have their own approach, their own space and phrase.
You and bus driver.
I got to refresh my wine.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
We'll
you guys are asking some fucking tough ass questions. I'm not fanning.
We're hitting you with the hard one.
I'm telling you, because I'm thinking, they're going to ask me about the rap beefs or the streets or you got shot in the head. No, you guys are asking me the tough, technical,
we want to know
honest
about
questions.
The music, baby.
I had a feeling this was going to be a good interview. I don't know how long we're slated, because I think we were like 30 to an hour, but
we are.
Let me know if I'm getting verbose.
No, as much time as you have, we'll take.
Give me a second.
Thank you.
Give me a second. Hold on.
It's amazing. He's worked with like Factor for over a
I'm
decade.
right
Over
here.
a
Just
decade.
coming up on my phone. I didn't put you guys on the Bluetooth, but I'm just gonna go ahead. And
Dude, you and Buster.
Do you guys smoke weed?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're smoking weed as we go.
Wait. Before you blaze it, I got to run. But I'm gonna break it down. I'm not the good multitask Jackson, but I'm gonna break down some weed. They hit me up with some good drugs.
We'll try to vamp while you go.
Papers.
Yeah, there's no rush.
I'm having a good conversation with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yo,
thank you for coming.
Yo, my man, you've
Is it hot up there like it is down here?
Fucking so hot.
105.
It's not so hot down here. And I don't AC, I just got fans, but I noticed when I let the room get a little hot, it makes me want to record more. It reminds me of the ciphers when you had your staunch supporters in the room, blazing L's and Hennessy, and the room gets hot, make you want to work, and equipment, hot. So I kind of manufacture my own heat so I can just reminisce on that because the pandemic kind of changed things up a little bit, as well as our brand of hip hop and those that hold it dear. We got obligations, so we can't just hang out and party in the studio all night like we used to.
Nah, we gotta do it virtually now.
He's still active.
Hey,
you guys are up in age. You guys are like in your 30s yet?
30s? Yeah, late
35.
30s. Yeah.
I love you guys, man. You guys, I'm not to make a broad stroke, but I'm noticing that there's even another hip hop renaissance, even like in the early 20s and late 20s and 30s, man. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I can cite, Costa Contra, different people that like Throwback and or Ultra Magnus, like super chopping and just the way some of these artists are making a fusion of the elements of our wide diaspora of hip hop is always amazing, even into dancehall and R&B. Go ahead.
For sure.
I'm breaking the weed down and it smells good. I didn't try to. What's this called? Cheesecake.
Talk a little bit about Bus Driver, my man. How long have you known Bus Driver for? You two have, some of the craziest
I've known
freestyles.
Bus Driver for many years. I'm thinking it goes from The Good Life, and I think that he was a youngin' too, like similar to Mr. CR and similar to Abstract, where he was like 14, 15. And he was excellent when I first saw him flow, and he's always been excellent. I'm always like, I just want to hear more of his flow with his speaking voice. He has a deep speaking voice, but his rap acts has a higher nasal thing for him to get his lyrics off. I remember the stint I had with Daddy Kev, shout out Daddy Kev and Celestial Recordings at Concrete Jungle. And they had 2 rooms. They had a hip hop room and a drum and bass room. So I had already cut my teeth with drum and bass in the early 90s when I went to UK and whatnot, and I always fuck with, EDM and electric music as well. Shout out G-Bone, rest in peace, Ultra Wave and whatnot. Planet Rock type beats, but when I got exposed to drum and bass, I always loved it, jungle music. But I remember MC Woes, shout out DJ Edit, who used to call us O'Connor. When we were in the hip hop room, it would be for a minute, especially when I took a few months to stop drinking. Bus Driver. Woes, me and shredding, and we're all pushing the belt. I mean, people could say they came under my tutelage, whatever, they give me that honor, but nah, I learned from young cats too. I think the younger cats got the younger, fresher hard drive if it was a computer brain. But man, when we're cutting and getting into the words and the articulation, the attack and consonants and vowels, and realizing certain phrases or turn of phrase works different ways when you're trying to conduct a rapid fire delivery. And then I also know that instead of pausing, Bus Driver, he would do something that I like to do too. We would stretch a word out, but the word just stretches, but not like people think, are you stretching the word out because you're thinking about what you're going to say next? No, we're stretching the word out because that's the style. And yeah, sometimes you can think about what you're coming with next and it'd be a drill, but Bus Driver's incredible. No can do, dumbfounded. I mean, just satire. Like cats are just, because Bus Driver is like kind of young cat. I don't know if they had tiers to our age groups, whatever. I don't go by that shit, but he's a younger cat that definitely held his own and excelled beyond, Good Life, Project Blowed, any one of us, and he is phenomenal. I think last time I kicked it with him was in Lamert. He had just put out Electricity Is On Our Side. He did that wild jazz thing. Shout out JMD. I mean, he was one that was encouraging me to do more transcribed jazz solo type hip hop.
Yeah, and so
Bus Driver is a cat. He's an artist. He's solid on all levels, and I haven't talked to him for a while, but I wish him well wherever he's at, whatever he's doing.
You mentioned the Good Life a few times, and for those people that don't know that are watching or listening, the Good Life Cafe was a place where a lot of MCs came together. It was a hot ground for all the MCs.
No, let me tell you.
You
had
South
Radio or Radiotron, which was a place where kids can go and rap and whatnot, but it was also heavily graffiti influence. It was all tenets of hip-hop influence. I would go to New York and back. They didn't have no workshops. I would just, young kid, coffee houses and go up there. You know, there was a renaissance of coffee houses in the mid-late 80s and early 90s from the Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg era of early New York beatnik, beat gin kind of thing that was happening in New York and in L.A.
Yeah.
Good Life to me was probably the first real legitimate open mic. We had a Slam and a Jam It, and then shortly after they had Dropping Science in Pasadena. Then a few years after they had Lyricist Lounge in New York. But the Good Life was the first place where you could really, really get open and MC, and it'd be about our brand of hip hop and what we're doing, which was part of the seeding of underground hip hop. Back then, thought we were just part of a hip hop renaissance, you know, post late 70s, mid 80s, and late 80s, what they call now the golden era. We were just renaissance with it and underground and using it as a place to stay out of trouble and flow. And we didn't know the kind of impact we would have outside of, let's say, a battle arena or a pep rally or a talent show of our skills. So when we first started in Good Life, few people. Then every week, more and more people come. I herald and salute everyone that was part of Good Life, especially Ava DuVernay, director, artist, supreme goddess, and B. Hall and Ifa, you know, rest in peace, who own the establishment, as well as, you know, Arcane Blaze and CVE and all the people that came with beats and this, that, the other equipment. Rick Love, Jay Smooth. Yeah, it was a place where it was like so, you know, they got movies about it. This Is the Life. It's a movie about that place. But it was like a micro Apollo for MCs that didn't pull no punches, shot from the hip. And they were like, if you're not dope, you're not dope. I mean, they had cats there that were like rock and roll black heavy metallers coming in with fucking leather and paint on their face like Kiss. But if they were dope and you had a lyrical flow to your song, we wasn't tripping the genre of music. So I was able to stretch my jazz and stretch my Afrodelic, futurelic kind of vibration in there, as well as hip hop, stretching the range and pushing the belt, being progressive. So yeah, man, Good Life is heralded as such because there wasn't other places like that back then where you could get out other than, let's say, swat meet or school or a parking lot somewhere. Or me and Ace and crew used to go to Hollywood Highland and do mock, like, faux battles and put our Kangos on the ground to get coin, act like we don't know each other. I'll walk up, oh, you rap. And then crowds see us, they don't know if we're going to fight or whatever, and we battling, and the next thing you know, we pull it together and be like, oh, I got y'all, and they give us the money and shit. You know, because you're young, you need that coin.
Yeah. Coming up in the golden era.
Tangent on the question.
No, you're good. No, we love it.
Coming up in the golden era of hip hop, was it hard for you not to dabble your toe and, like, I want to break dance and I want to do this other stuff, but you know what I mean? I'm going to stick with my hip hop. No,
I used to break. I used to write. I was Omni. I was the first Omni in LA. I remember Belmont Tunnel, Pan Pacific Theater. I was part of different crews. The main crew was UCA, but I remember WCA. I remember K2S, S2N. I remember Cartoon, Original Tune, Prime, Crime, Skep, Geo, rest in peace. So I'm my nigga Minus, rest in peace, Skill, Time Bomb. I was better on paper. I didn't have a lot of can control on walls and shit. Always my handshake, PTSD, whatever the fuck. I hit my head a lot of accidents and wild shit in my life. But I know you suck. You know, keep it real. But then I was trying my hand DJing because I shake a lot. I was thinking, okay, I can scratch. But now you have to have a steady hand when you're DJing and blending.
To drop the pin.
Shout out 80 Vance and Uncle Jam's Army and DJ Prince, Dempsey and Lamont Perkins and people that were, and DJ Paradise and Curtis Harmon. That when I'm like a kid, 12 years old, 13 years old, you know, I want to get a hip hop DJ, you know, them. So, okay, you can't really DJ. Plus, I couldn't afford the equipment. Before break dance, you can't really try break dancing, walking around with linoleum. I had a little up rock, had a little footwork, but my upper body wasn't strong enough. I just didn't get it. But for some reason, the boy is all mouth. And that boy could rap his ass off, man.
That's what God gave you.
Stick with rapping. And all through the years, I became a musician, played trumpet, different instruments. I produced, programming live, project, reasoned all the programming. But then even a while, I stopped producing as much because all of that helped me get a good ear of what quality control is. I never lost. My ears are the best instrument. But by doing that and all that training, even the trumpet and the wind, embouchure, made me a better MC. And the producers and people I work with through the years, shout out Joseph Lineberg, shout out the variety of producers, shout out Gnome Beats, Tim, Nico Luminous, shout out Factor, of course, Grady, Doug Moses, the projects I put out through the years. These band members, these producers, shout out Meeks, Citrus, get in my range, sing a little bit, this, that, whatever. This, I thought, made me not only a better MC, but a better vocalist, where I can kind of hear a little better now. You listen to the bass, you listen to the rhythm, you hear the chord changes, you hear in your range where you would most compliment, and also less is more, where you take a step back. So yeah, thanks for asking that, man, because it's helping me review me as well right now. Thank you.
Of course.
Before becoming this underground,
let's hope I find my papers.
Before becoming this underground rap legend, where did you envision your career going?
Well, to be honest, and I'm thinking AC alone could attest too, and I don't know if we've actually had conversations about it. And Sumbi, he was more like on the business model, like, hey, if we stay independent instead of fucking with the majors, just stack back. I kind of knew early on, young, by not bending so much and sticking to my guns, whether I'm doing group ensembles or by myself, that eventually, whether I live long enough to recognize it, thank, God is greatest, I'm still here, that it would be more of a legendary status, the legacy, straight up and down. Now, I'm humble with my science on legend, all that. I've been kind of getting it through the years, and grandfather style, real talk, and I take it with a stride. I always point up, God is greatest, source, prime creator, or the universe. I don't want to get the big head, but and that's like ego maintenance. However, yeah, when we were young, we knew we were doing some groundbreaking shit, especially when other artists were coming out with a bigger platform doing what we were doing. So we were encouraged when LL came out. We were encouraged when Ultramagnetic, we heard them on the Red Alert tapes. We were encouraged when we heard Kumo D. We were encouraged when we heard De La Soul, matching patterns and styles and shit. Encouraged, with the likes of Jay-Z when he did Originator's Chop, and so okay, we doing shit now. And I was never one to say I invented this style or that style, because I think about this, the symbiosis, the synergy of different people, and the Akashic records and whatever it is. Maybe some people buy it, maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't care. But just knowing that, okay, if other people are doing similar styles, they're keeping the door open. It's a chance for me to express. Because when I was young, I always knew that it was not, I knew there would be a challenge for me to be successful, because how do you market someone that wants to do different styles every time he touches the mic? I just didn't want to do it the same style. I didn't like biting myself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah,
okay.
we're there.
I got my first warning, 20%. How long have we been talking? Not to put you on time schedule.
No,
it's been an hour.
We're about an hour.
About an hour.
We can start wrapping it up right now.
Okay, we can do a rapid fire, but
yeah,
let me come on the subject. I always knew then that it might not be revered because the beats, the style of rap, this and that. But I had a sense that I was like a Charlie Parker even before I knew who Charlie Parker was. I was just like, nah, I want to promote individuality. I want to promote being open to the craft. I want to promote a more dynamic range. Because there was a time when me, like, you ain't rapping, you singing. I'd be like, wait a minute, white lines, Cold Crush, all kind of shit. Nigga, rappers sing motherfucking Biz Markie and TJ Swan. Like, nah, this singing in hip hop is just a ragamuffin kind of singing. And singing in dancehall too, and singing jazz. So, nah, I didn't let that get to me.
Nice.
Let's talk about
let's talk about your book,
My Kaleidoscope.
I'll try to be more brief.
Yeah, let's talk about My Kaleidoscope. Is this something this is your first book you published, I believe? Is this something that you're going to do more of, and are you going to maybe publish a book with some of the stories and maybe advance this little writing career of yours?
Yes. And yes.
Okay.
And I got to shout out Parker Pubs. We worked on this for like 2+ years. And they were very gracious and patient with me, very generous. And I loved what they did with the 2Mix. But I was just in my mind like, wait a minute, because you just asked a question about the legacy of being a legend or referred to as such. I'm still just me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when Karis sees me, he'll be like, oh, the light. Or when Busta Rhymes will see me, he'll be like, oh, the love. You know? But
which makes you cool.
when it comes to being a book, and me not wanting to do my own book per se, because people start hitting me about documentaries and stuff, and I'm like, I'm cool with it. Like, let the music speak for itself, whatever. But they're like, no, you got a story, bro. And they talked me into it, and I felt honored. I just had no idea that these brothers were going to help me write a book and help me do the extra work I needed done to make it such a thorough piece that's bigger than me, that encompasses the history of our scene and movement. Like, I don't know if you guys are hip to Dilla Time, right?
Yep.
Did y'all read that book, Dilla Time?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
audiobook?
Jay Dilla's book.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And it's about him, no doubt, but it's like about all of us, in the era, like the technical aside. So these guys made sure that, okay, we're not just going to print what Myka says. We're going to go back and do our research on every single lyric. It might be a typo here or there, but every single interview, and they dug deep to where I read the pre-drafts, but it's hard for me to get through the final draft because like I tear up, bro. I'm like on the last 50 pages, but I tear up, bro, because like so many people showed up and had so many unique perspectives in this multifaceted community of what we call hip hop or underground hip hop or the music side or the rap side of it, whatever department people want to put me in. But man,
you're a musician.
And then when I saw my bro Saul Williams the other day bought the book, and I posted a picture of him doing it, and I was just like, man, and my bro Malcolm Jamal Warner got the book, like just from the stars to like the homies and people like, man, and I'm like, this book is pretty good. You got 900 lyrics. I sent them hundreds of lyrics, and I left it to their creative license to pick the ones they thought would give a good flow to the book. I'm like, I like this shit. It's got some hard lyrics, soft lyrics, got degree of difficulty lyrics, got shit I don't even remember writing. The interviews bring it together, and the historical aspect of it is amazing. Again, like I feel like I want to shout Open Mike Eagle. I did an interview with him not too long ago. And he's like, you said in the book something about like Forrest Gump of the hip hop scene, because being there for different highlights and scenes as well, hip hop is it's just really, it's overwhelming, bro. Thank you for asking. I love the book. I love how it came out. I love how we were like non-assuming. I wasn't like hella hard timing or so much of a stickler for this or that. And it just naturally became what it is, which kind of describes my career. Like I got past if the beat's a little off, or if they didn't mix my vocals up, or if they didn't put my rhymes in the right place. Like I learned not to hard time people. And I just think putting love into things, you get love out of it, straight up.
The Forrest Gump of hip hop.
Well said.
I love that. I love that. Well, once again,
I mean, maybe not. A lot of people claim that, but when I think about different scenes of people I know and experience, I can think about D Nice. I think about Karis. I think about Daddy O, Stessa. Because like Stessa Sonic, they match patterns and they rhymes different scenes with pattern. They like, that's Paul. And a couple years ago, Paul was talking about he wanted to do a project. It would be beautiful. Alchemist. Like even the A-listers, they don't forget about me. Snoop or Jay-Z, they still like, oh, Myka. Nipsey, rest in peace, when he was alive. Myka, freestyle. Like, yeah, it's a trip. It's really a trip where when it comes to the real artistry, motherfuckers give you respect. Jazz Cats, Tomas, Terrace Martin. Like, I mean, even the homies I worked with on our little demos became Grammy and platinum producers, and world-renowned, so it's a humbling honor to even be doing this podcast, bro.
Well,
straight up,
we appreciate you.
It's a mind fuck. I send love to the mind fuck.
One more quick question.
The Myka 9 story is a big part of hip hop.
Yes, it is. And one more question for you before you go. I've talked to a lot of rappers and asked them who their favorite rapper is. Most of them have said Myka 9. You're known as You're known as your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Yes.
Who
is your favorite rapper?
Okay.
Open
Mike Eagle asked me that for his shit, and he's like, they wanted to know the top 5. I'm gonna need just a second, you guys. I'm so sorry. I don't have a lighter. I gotta light my joint on the stove. So if you guys are gonna blaze it with me.
We'll light it up right now.
I'll do my best to kind of ask on, because you said favorite rapper.
Yeah, who's your favorite rapper?
It's hard. Give me a second. I have to use the bathroom. So, audience, whoever's listening, just give me a couple minutes. I gotta light my joint.
We got this one on. I
gotta take a little time to think.
Who do you think it's gonna be? You guys got any guesses?
I'll never pass a drug test in this motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now. Jesus Christ.
Who do you think? Who's it gonna be?
Who's his favorite rapper of all time?
Man. It's got. Is it gonna be a LA dude?
Could it be a Project Blowed guy? I don't know. Or someone outside of Project Blowed?
Could it be Abby? Abby Rude?
Nah. Could it be one of the boys?
Could it be
Ruby the Cherry?
Nah, that'd be tight. Could it be LL?
Could it be
LL? He's a beginner. You know, he's one of the first who changed his style.
We're about to find out. You guys are on the edge of your seat. We're gonna find out.
Could it be DMX?
Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
You know what I wanted to ask him though? I wanted to ask him, how's it? You know, do you get upset when a rapper totally changes? Like LL's kind of like a slug to us.
Probably change.
All right.
But if it was one MC and one MC only, the answer may change
right now.
But if it was one MC and one MC only, it's got to be LL.
Oh, nice! You almost got it.
So many reasons.
Mama said knock you out.
Different styles, success, entrepreneurship, acting, longevity, putting other people on, and then I could think Eminem. But Eminem, you know, for the most part, does kind of like what I do on different levels, but doing it on a professional level. Like before M got on with Dre, I was in the studio with Dre, and they gave me the stamp Calabasas, but I went to jail, and during that time, he slipped in, whatever. But that ain't the point. I ain't trying to look at it this way, that way. I met M. M gave me props. I ain't tripping.
I've heard M say that.
Otherwise, waxed them like in the scribbles. But anyway, but Eminem is up there. But I'm saying LL first and foremost. Hits, R&B, crossed the spectrum around the world. At 17 years old, teaching white folks and people around the world when they put them on them tours where there were no hip hop venues to perform at. There's video footage if you go on YouTube. LL Cool J, 17, little white kids sitting down with their legs crossed. What we're about to do is called hip hop. This is a microphone. I'm going to do what's called rapping. And him over here, he's going to do what's called scratching. And he has 2 records, you know, like the educational pioneering.
Amazing. That is crazy.
Of the culture and craft. I mean, I can go, you know, early on, the early MCs, you know, Sugar Hill, all them from Pioneers Era, Q-Tip Third. I can go Last Poets. I can go to the jazz, vocalese, this, that. But rapper in general, I mean, I can flip it over to Missy Elliott. I can flip it over to Meg Thee Stallion or different people that style, or Doja Cat that style, and I'm professional. No, but that's sort of, you know, Nicki, Lil Kim, the girls. Then, of course, you know, you got Nas, you got, you know, different individuals. But then if you want to, you know, then get into 20, 30, 40 MCs. Because to me, Dr. Dre is still a rapper to me, not just a producer.
Yeah.
And when you got Snoop. Like, I knew Snoop. I used to write rhymes with RBX, kick with RBX. His little cousin was Snoop. Hey, man, calling us on 3-way. I got a couple raps. Come on the couch and crash on the couch. We write and have a session. But he has a dream. What I learned from Snoop all these years is he had an unwavering dream to be on the top and successful. And he continued to do that and kept it true to his set, his gangs, his homies, everything, and, you know, and all this trial tribulation. I could say Tupac because the legacy that he holds, but a real MC, though. Ciphering, rap different than songs. Jail, this and that, shot, you know, rest in peace. Biggie, his energy. But then I go personal. My personal favorites, I'll be like AC Alone, Abstract Root, E-Rule of Law, Born, Def I, Def 3, Chesky Ramos. Yes, now, I'm talking about, I know a gang of dope MCs, male and female. Medusa, no motherfucking doubt.
Hell yeah.
Dude. Woo! I can keep going, man. Sarah, Dynasty, some of the young up-and-comers, different ranges of hip-hop. I remember back in the day hanging out with Talib, Dante, Yasin Bey, Lauryn Hill, Prodigal Son. We, you know, I G off, Adolf the Assassin, call himself Agala now. Eras of people that had the hunger, you know, for it as well and became successful. Yet also, you got to get into your dance hall DJs and stuff, or MCs. They call them DJs. You know, Papa San, not just who could rap fast or slow or chopper, this or that. And then old, young, new, you got Daz, you got Hop Sin, you got Jordan Lucas, you got J. Cole, you know, K-Dot, you know, you got motherfuckers, Kendrick Lamar, you know, back in the Project Blow days, he called himself K-Dot. Where excellent MCs, excellent musicians, statesmen, what they've achieved. Again, Busta Rhymes, come on, man, you can't tell me like you can't rap. You know,
he's one of my favorites.
Crutches, having that wind on stage. I mean, so many dope MCs across the board. But then you also go Rakim, KRS-One, Slick Rick, Knock It Off, Beastie Boys, groundbreaking not only in their lyrication and their background, but the music.
Hell yeah, production.
Their approach. Yeah. UTFO. Rest in peace, intelligent rapper. Rest in peace, Kango Kid. My shit goes so wide, bruh, in my brain, male and female. I don't exclude the female MCs. Everything from Boss to Ice Cream Tea. I don't know if y'all remember a female MC named Ice Cream Tea.
No. We might have to listen to her tonight.
I like Mia
You
X.
gotta go and check her out.
We're gonna check her out
Let's do
tonight.
it.
Ice Cream Tea. I Can't Hold Back. That's one of her songs.
We're doing it, brother.
Electromagnetic MCs. Cool Keith. Cool Keith has said G matching rhyme patterns, pausing and using diverse vernacular. The fuck out of here.
Taking us to school.
Jay-Z been chopping at originators and the jazz.
There you go.
Nigga,
I love jazz.
Even medium
Top
era smoke
150.
is
Educate.
Big crit. Scarface, writing all the rhymes. You couldn't tell me back when I was driving them pounds of weed before it was Mary, you know, all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I got all kinds of stories, all kinds of shit.
I was always told.
And then you also got battlers. The battlers from Disaster, No Can Do, or Supernatural.
Fuck yeah.
Like,
Lil Mac.
it's different when you don't have a label platform pushing you in just by the sake of your skills. You know, Locksmith, Sci-Hi the Prince, nigga, Montana 300. Nigga, come on now.
Man, we could do this all night long.
They rap their fucking asses off. Not to mention core crew. You mentioned bus driver. Come on, man. You talk about rap virtuosos, bro. Self Jupiter, Peace,
Workhorses.
the core crew members. I mean, I'm always flustered when I'm asked that question, but hopefully I gave you guys a quick idea.
Oh, workhorses, all workhorses in the game.
But there's still so many more. So many more. In Europe, Amavu, Dizzy Rascal, motherfucking, who my grime rappers, Stormzy and Skepta, you know, like, and they're big name, but they got a lot of under them, London Posse from back in the day. American grime, I got to shout out Jumanji, Finesse. Come on now.
Damn.
So
hey,
New
real
York
quick.
Is across the board. I can even go back to Beans and Anti-Pop, Anti-Con, Soul, Dose.
There you go. There you go.
Idea, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I don't think the people is dead. I think they're still alive, lyrically.
Hell
Gifted Gab.
Ideas alive.
Gifted Gab.
Yeah, Gifted Gab for sure.
Hey, real quick before we go.
Justice.
What's the beef with Talib Kweli? You guys squash it yet, or are you guys still beefing?
No, I'm saying there was some hip-hop trash talking to me.
Yeah.
Even though I got death threats and shit.
It's like battle shit.
Got asked a few times. When you love somebody, you don't start loving them because it's trash talk.
For sure.
And as long as ain't nobody trying to swing on me, shoot me, kill me, that's one thing. But when you're trying to dunk my career, cut my lane off, because you got 1 million followers and $1 million, and I'm the nigga that, you know, nothing but love for you and had your back, and, you know, whatever the fuck.
Let's get a live battle going.
Narcissism is a disease or something. I guess because you get hit from so many different angles. And, you know, I did my best to polish it out. I didn't. Wait, thank you for L.A. motherfucking Cool is one of the best MCs on the motherfucking planet. And he was involved in a little funk with. I'm just saying. Yeah. Real talk, though. Like, more than what y'all might have ever heard, he's played me shit. Clairvoyant freestyling on jazz music, chopping circles around some of my best chops. Y'all don't have no idea. Niggas is dope. Miss CR ain't no slouch either. Beyond the street element or funk or whatever, niggas be pumping and pushing a hard line when it comes to not only degree of difficulty lyrics, but keeping the dream alive about the forefront of pushing the belt. Now, yeah, to me it was like some troll baiting, trash talk, relevance, and it broke my heart. It was like fucked up.
Yeah, that's.
Then when it got huffy and puffy, motherfuckers threatening me and all that some shit and taking me a dark side, I said fuck it. Then the nigga put out the diss video, and I love Diamond D. Fellowship recorded with Diamond D in Exhibit. Weaponizing Diamond D to put my face in the video and all that super dissing and like trash and like, I'm like, oh man, I gotta hit you with something for real, because you know there was veiled this, veiled that. So I don't know if y'all caught that Russian rag shit.
They try to easy you with Dr. Dre.
Ukraine. I follow politics and geopolitics. I follow archaeology. I follow science. To me, it's all about science, technology, engineering, and math. Let me go ahead and throw a jab. But people try to poly it out, but they want to poly it out after he's been dragging me for a couple of years. I'm like, no, let me eat off my shit for a young year or so, you know. But I wouldn't, you know, it ain't on no young kids with the bullshit, you know. I'm just keeping it hip hop, bro.
Yeah, let's get a Myka 9 versus
that's
Talib
what I'm saying.
Kweli.
So to me, I never really, I mean, that's a grown man, but I never took credence into the beef of it being more of a beef than a trash talking disagreement, even though you never know what the other man feeling. They might want to, you know, run that fade or whatever. They might want to line them up, whatever.
Yeah.
God is ready. I don't fear nobody.
There you go.
But it is most unfortunate because I found out later some of our group of friends were also having problems with him as well. You know, Mood Crew, shout out Main Flow and Dante, different people. And I didn't want to be like, yo, you coattailing. And I'm just like, nigga, I'm Mike, nigga. Like, I never had nothing against you. I always had your back, bro. Like, you just did a song for your title track of your record, nigga. Like, and that day I'm doing a video, my father died. Like, nigga, like, it's just wild to where I'm just sending the brother love. I'm sending people love. That way I don't harbor bitterness, you know, and make room for something better. But it's most unfortunate that occurred, especially when I did my diligence in trying to poly that out.
Well, that man owes you an apology. He definitely owes you an apology. Whether you want to look at it that way or not, he owes you an apology.
It just sucks losing an old friend. That's never easy. Never fucking easy.
Yeah, I send the cat love, but, you know, you can love some people with a long-handled spoon from a distance.
Fucking
Yeah. And I'm not tripping. I just thought that was rather bizarre. And I've had interviews where I've expressed myself different ways.
Yes, sir.
But when I think about it, I don't like to think about it because, you know, you got to control your mood. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, it's just not the best get down. So I hope he's, you know, working on that. But, you know, it's all, you know, different artists, there's a lot of pressures in the game. And they go through different things, and relationships, and challenges. I'm just like, wow. You know, cats be having a midlife crisis or something. I don't know, but like, it's all love. But I was like, well, shit. I mean, I wrote like 400 bars. I did like 3 or 4 personal diss songs, and me and LA Cool did like 3 or 4 follow-ups just in case the nigga come. But I did that one Russian rag joint, and I dig that because I went back and took James Reese Europe 100 years ago, all black, first ragtime military jazz band, and they did a cover of a Russian rag, which I always thought just had like a warmongering kind of aggression to it. So you want war, I'm a channeling who I know is the most obnoxious warmongering vibe, just to spoof it on you and a narcissistic power play. And you know, it was fun for what it's worth. I hope someday, you know, we patch it out, but that's on that man. You know, I have no problem talking with people, whatever, but it took a dent in my career. You know, I missed a couple shows, and again, I got a couple death threats, you know, people trying to pull a Muslim car on me and all this wild shit. And I'm like, I really don't fear nobody but God. So fuck what y'all talking about. And I don't want nothing to happen to me and my folks, or nothing to happen to him. This fresh off of my bro LA being shot like 3 times in his neck and in his side. Like, you know, like you arguing with niggas that I'm glad made it, you know, through life. Like you fuck with niggas that really be about this, or was, or whatever, how y'all want to look at it, about the element. Because I ain't trying to sit down and nobody pin. I ain't trying to hurt nobody, nothing like that. You know, but like, when you really about that shit, or really been through that shit, it don't impress you, and you go in some other place. And out of all the different beefs, I never did a diss record, and all the beefs really fit to be my guy of guys. My guy is like, it's bizarre, man, and it's not me. And you know, he probably might have a different take, or maybe wouldn't even speak on it because it's levels or tiers to this, whatever the case may be. But give a fuck, man. It don't infringe on my serenity as much as I thought it would. And again, it's all love.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that.
I think I got him though.
I think you won. You won.
You got him.
You guys won. LA Cool won.
You know, Diane. Now I thought. I mean, I got way more. Ooh, I got some heat.
Hell yeah.
I got shit harder than that and dope. I mean, I got shit where I want to take the diss verses off and put new verses just because they hit songs. Shout out my nigga Pun. He going through a lot right now as well. But I'm saying, ooh.
1-0 Myka.
I'm glad he didn't keep it pumping.
All love over here. Thank you so much. We've taken enough of your Friday night. Go ahead and get back in the studio, make beautiful music. We really do appreciate you and everything you've done for the hip-hop community and continue to do 4 decades in. And we can't wait to hear all the new music that you have coming out. And shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining Milkcrates and Microphones.
Much love, much love.
Everybody, the one and only Myka 9.
Yes, sir.
It's all love. Get that book. www.myka9book.com. Also, I got to shout out Freematic. I got a project coming out called Teleported 3. It's more spacey, weird rap in conjunction with our comic called Dark Moon Comic.
Yes.
And also, check out all the other works, all the other projects and albums, and support Project Blowed, all the different artists, support all our associated and affiliated crews. LA, West Coast, USA, worldwide. It's all love. Thank you guys for this opportunity.
Yes, sir,
I appreciate you tremendously.
We appreciate your time, and like I said, can't wait to hear your new music, and hopefully we could do this again. Maybe we get you back on.
It's an honor and a privilege, no doubt.
Hell yeah! Maybe sometime when you're with Factor, we can do a duo. We get both of you on this, and we talk to both of you.
Well, let me tell you something. I was just in Canada tour with Mickey O'Brien and Roach Magnus. Did a fly through Saskatoon. Every time I'm in Canada, I got to record with Factor. Me and Chesky got a song that is very powerful.
Fucking love Chesky.
He just happened to be in town too.
Yeah.
And I got other projects and stuff coming out. Just, support your bro, support the crew.
Always.
Support the community. Support yourself too as you're an artist. And to all the other artists that are out there, keep doing it, man. Even because we're artists in the way that, we're made and we're born. So you got to do it anyway. You know what I mean? Whether you're making money or whether you're getting acclaim or not. So salute to all the closet MCs, closet producers and musicians out there. And big fish, small pond. Take that show on the road, tour, share the love. You'd be surprised. A lot of people support the artistry. I'm seeing love to a lot of people in Europe and around the world that are going through a lot of adversity, with droughts and people dealing with these political issues as well. Remember, we're bigger than what's out here.
Hell yeah.
It's all love.
It's all love. Thank you for all everything. Love, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you later. Myka 9, baby.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Like I was always told, without a dream, you got no direction.